In this video, we'll be looking at commas for clarity. When writing, commas can be really useful for making sure that your sentence conveys the correct meaning. For example, if you wanted to tell your pet dog Frank that it's time to eat, you might say, "Let's eat Frank." However, without the comma, you're actually inviting somebody to eat Frank with you. To help Frank to get out of a sticky situation, we need to add a comma for clarity into the sentence. Let's eat, Frank. This time, you're inviting Frank to eat with you. What a difference a comma makes. Commas for clarity can help us in other ways too. Take a look at this sentence. Martina went to the shop and bought chocolate cakes and a bottle of milk. Without a comma, it looks as though Martina bought two items, chocolate cakes and a bottle of milk. However, Martina actually bought 3 items, so we need to use a comma to make the meaning of the sentence clear to the reader. Martina went to the shop and bought chocolate, cakes, and a bottle of milk. With the comma added for clarity, it's clear that Martina bought 3 items. Let's take a look at our first question. Here you're being asked to add 2 commas into the sentence to make it clear that the children took part in 4 activities. You'll need to use 2 commas to separate 4 items in a list. Can you spot where they need to go? Let's take a look at the answer. The children enjoyed taking part in cycling, competitions, baking and archery on their school trip. Without the first comma for clarity, the sentence would tell us that the children took part in cycling competitions rather than 2 separate activities of cycling and competitions. In this next question, you're being asked to explain how the comma changes the meaning of the second sentence. Bella, Matthew and Mo won an award for teamwork. Bella, Matthew and Mo won an award for teamwork. The comma has been added after the word Bella. How has this changed the meaning of the sentence? Well done if you said the second sentence is talking about 3 people called Bella, Matthew and Mo winning an award for teamwork, rather than 2 people named Bella, Matthew and Mo. The comma for clarity is making it clear who won the award. For our final question, you're being asked to add a different number of commas into the same sentence so that the meaning changes. Pause your video now and hit play when you have the answer. Let's take a look at the sentence. After leaving Lana, Harry and Alex played football. The first part of the question is asking you to add 1 comma to show that only Harry and Alex played football. That comma would go here. After leaving Lana, Harry and Alex played football. The second part of the question is asking you to add 2 commas to show that all 3 children played football. Those commas would go here. After leaving, Lana, Harry and Alex played football. Well done if you got those right. Thank you for listening.
Hi, in this video we'll be reminding ourselves what a fronted adverbial is and how we can use a comma to demarcate a fronted adverbial from a main clause. A fronted adverbial is a word or phrase at the start of a sentence that gives more information about the action in the main clause. Let's look at this main clause. The girl opened the door. We can give more information about the action by adding a fronted adverbial. Here we tell the reader how the action was done by using the adverb slowly. Notice how we use a comma to demarcate the adverbial from the main clause. As well as how a verb is done, a fronted adverbial can tell the reader when, how often, or where the girl opened the door. When? Yesterday, the girl opened the door. How often? Every few minutes, the girl opened the door. Where? Behind the secret bookcase, the girl opened the door. No matter what the purpose of a fronted adverbial is, it's always separated from the main clause with a comma. Let's take a look at the first question. Place a comma in the correct place in this sentence. Before school, Ali picked up his sports kit. First, we need to look for the main clause, which will have a subject and a verb. Here it is. Ali picked up his sports kit. We then look for the phrase that tells us more about the action. Here is when Ali picked up his sports kit. Before school. This is the fronted adverbial and needs a comma to separate it from the main clause, like this. Before school, Ali picked up his sports kit. In this next question, you're being asked to tick two sentences that use a comma correctly. Sentence 1 says, last week my class went on a trip. Sentence 2 says, cautiously he climbed the rickety stairs. Sentence 3 says, at the top of the cliff there was a herd of sheep. Sentence 4 says, during the day my dog just sleeps. You may want to answer out loud, on a whiteboard or on a piece of paper. Pause the video now and see whether you can identify which two sentences use a comma correctly. Have you got an answer? Fantastic! In the first sentence, the comma is in the middle of the main clause, therefore it cannot be correct. The second sentence has a main clause, and the first word, cautiously, tells us how the action is done. It's followed by a comma, therefore this one is correct. In the third option, the fronted adverbial has a comma in the middle. Everything after the comma should be a main clause that makes sense on its own, but this example doesn't. Therefore, it is not punctuated correctly. As we need to tick two answers, we probably think that the last one must now be correct. We do need to check it though. It has a main clause and a fronted adverbial that is followed with a comma. Therefore, the last one is correct. For our final question, you're being asked to rewrite this sentence so that it contains a fronted adverbial. Remember to punctuate your answer correctly. The cat slept on the chair. Pause the video now and have a go. Finished? Fantastic. The question is given as a main clause, so we must use all of it in our new sentence. First, we look for the action and think about what we can add to explain how, when, where, or how often it's done. The verb in this sentence is slept, so we can add anything that gives more information about the how, when, where, or how often the cat slept. For example, silently, during the afternoon, in the conservatory, every day. Whatever we decide, we must remember that there must be a comma after the adverbial and before the main clause, like this. During the afternoon, the cat slept on the chair. We must also remember that there should be a capital letter at the beginning of our sentence and a full stop at the end. Hoo-yah! Well done if you got that one correct. If you enjoyed this video and you're looking for some more English support, we've got lots more videos like this one available on the Twinkl website.
In this video, we'll be looking at how commas are used to separate items in a list. A list is a countable series of names or items, especially when they're written or printed. For example, my dad brought home the shopping. Fresh cookies, a bunch of flowers, some chocolates, and a takeaway pizza. In this sentence, the list itemises all of the shopping Dad brought home with him. Fresh cookies, a bunch of flowers, some chocolates, a takeaway pizza. The commas separate each of these items so it's easy for the reader to differentiate between them. Commas in a list avoid confusion between items in a list. Let's look at this sentence with no commas. How difficult is it to read that list sentence? It is hard to tell exactly what the hotel has to offer, so we must add commas between each item. The hotel has a pool table, table tennis, tennis courts, and a spa. The use of commas makes the reader pause between each separate item before moving on. The last item in a list usually has and before it and does not need a comma. Now, let's have a look at the first question. Place two commas in the sentence below. My brother has 2 games consoles, a huge TV, a gaming chair, and a computer in his room. We know a comma needs to go between each item in the list, like this. My brother has 2 games consoles, a huge TV, a gaming chair, and a computer in his room. The last item has and before it and does not need a comma. In this next question, you're being asked to punctuate the sentence so that there are only 3 items in the list. Sam really loves drawing trees, painting flowers, and collage. Pause the video and press play when you have the answer. Did you spot where we should use a comma in the sentence? The sentence can be punctuated with up to 3 commas to create 5 items in the list. Drawing, trees, painting, flowers, collage. However, the question asks you to make sure there are only 3 items, so we have to assume that Sam loves drawing trees, painting flowers, collage. Therefore, we must add commas between these items in the list. Sam really loves drawing trees, painting flowers, and collage. Well done if you got it right. Hoo-yah! For our final question, you're being asked to write a list from a bullet-pointed list. You may wish to write your answer down on a whiteboard or a piece of paper. You may wish to just say it aloud. Pause the video now and hit play when you're ready. Do you have an answer? Great, let's take a look. The answer is Mum needs to buy a bag of salad, some kitchen paper, a box of cereal, and a bunch of bananas. You need to make sure that the items have commas separating them and that you have used a full stop at the end. Hoo-yah! Well done if you got that one correct. You should now have a better understanding of how commas are used in a list. Thanks so much for listening.